cold cases to serial killers, missing persons, and more.
100% he did this.
I'd go off in the fantasy world.
How much more lucky can you get that you're not on death row?
You want to know what we know.
My name is Jay. This is Guilty of Crime.
What is up, everybody? Couple minutes early. I always give myself time. Hello. Do me a favor, hit the like button. Let's support the channel. Today's a rough one, folks. I didn't feel like this was complete, so hello. We got to complete this. Now, I thought it'd be 6 months, but a little bit of the jail calls came out, and I had to share what the devil had to say because, frankly, I feel like I didn't get to give you the full story yesterday. I hadn't seen the presser. I do have the calls. They're not very long, but I also have the 911 calls, which are rough. So trigger warning when I get into them. If you want to not listen to them, you can pop off and then pop back on. So trigger warning for this whole thing. I'm going to start off with showing you a couple of things that the devil said. By no means, and what's up, Sweetie Brookahire, and Yashira, and Juror 13, and Stonefly Blue, Avis, Carly, for making me listen to those 911 calls last night. She didn't make me, but I listened to them, and they're rough. What's up, Brenda P., Carrie, Ola? I know you've heard this. Now, the 911 calls that were played on the press conference weren't as rough. They played them a lot farther. What's up, Scary Sherry? Don't forget, y'all, hit the like button. This probably is not going to get monetized. It's rough. Yeah, the devil is a liar. Hi, Sam. Now, I want to tell you this is a rough one. We're gonna not only get into the 911 calls. There was another 911 call. I think we heard at the very beginning, which was one of the neighbors. So I have that one too. I have the 911 calls with the mom. I have which are rough. I also have Chad Doerman's background. Yesterday we were talking about his background, and people were trying to figure out that didn't know the case if Chad had a background. What was his deal? I have the full picture now, and I have a background check of him. I even know that he choked his dad out, and I'm going to play that in the clip. He actually choked his dad a few years back. So also the mom in the 911 calls towards the end starts saying, I knew I should have got my kids out of there. I knew I should have got my children out. She knew there was something coming. She knew something wasn't right. Obviously, he was violent and a piece of shit at that. Hello, Kimberly from Ireland. And Honeybun, thank you for gifting a membership. Everything that you all support the channel today will be great. Signs of a psychopath. So I'm going to start off with a couple of things. Let's start off with, I'm going to play this clip real quick to get you to get you locked in on this. It's a news clip that I just found, and it actually has Chad Doerman saying, and then I'll play the calls after. When I played the calls, it's only audio, so I'm going to sit here and listen to the audio. There's nothing else but audio. So, but the devil, Chad Doerman, actually in quotes, says this is bigger than Hitler, and he laughs about lining his children up and taking their lives one by one. He also says he knew exactly what he was doing. He remembers doing it, and he remembers why, even though in the interrogations he told the officers that he didn't remember what was going on. He starts talking about the Bible, etc. All right, so let's start with this, and then after I get you locked in here, then I'm gonna show you his background check. That way it gives you a good idea of what he has going on there. He does have some domestic violence, although it was a while ago. I don't know if his dad actually pressed charges. I don't know if that's from his dad, but he did choke his dad out a while ago. Now, the 911 calls, when we get to them, they're rough. I'm going to play them so you can hear every word of them. And then when we get into the press conference, I'm just going to fast forward through the 911 calls because you can't hear them that well. They're kind of off the background and you just can't hear them. So, Jordan says it's sad that Chad did this in front of mom and stepsister. You're going to get the full picture today. Yesterday we had pieces of it, but this is the full, complete picture. And unless we start getting jail calls from him later on, I will play that. But this is absolutely just evil. Scary Sherry, you're right. All right, let's start with this one so you can see and pay attention closely, please, because I'm going to play this at normal speed. I want you to see how he laughs and says it's bigger than Hitler just in this quick news clip. And then also I'll go into the background and then I'll tell, he listened to his dad talking about him choking him. And then we'll start getting into all the other stuff. So now we'll have the full picture. Let's go.
Young sons and was sentenced to life in prison without parole. Prosecutors are now walking us through their investigation.
Yeah, prosecutors say leading up to the shooting, the Doerman family was just living a happy, normal life, according to most. But all of that changed on June 15th of last year. WLWT News 5's Karen Johnson live for us in Batavia tonight with more. Karen.
Yeah, Mike, even the night before the shooting, prosecutors say everything seemed normal. Chad Doerman coached his oldest son, Clayton's baseball team. The entire family was there. Then the next day, June 15th, Chad Doerman leaves for work around 7 a.m.
On his way to work, he searches on YouTube for a song titled Happy in Hell.
Part of the lyrics between Happy and Hell, that's where I'm living now. Later that morning,
that's him
walking into Kroger wearing the same clothes he was wearing when he killed his three.
Now, this is actually him walking into the clinic. There's a little bit other footage, but it's on somebody's Patreon, so I'm not going to play that. I'm playing it now. He walks into Kroger, didn't buy anything, went to this little clinic and told the people at the clinic that he actually was having bad thoughts, and that's about it. And he walked away. That's what he talks about the clinic, that they wish they would have kept him longer. So you're going to see this now, and then you're going to hear some of the things. It's a quick clip, but you see him walking in, doesn't buy anything, walks out. He's an evil man. He also is quoted saying he wished he would have took his wife's life first. Had he done it first, he would have had enough balls to have done it. So he would have just wiped out the whole family is what his plan was. Now, he didn't take the kids fishing the day before, but he did 3 days before, and you'll get the complete picture now. Yesterday we were talking, today we'll fill in the blanks.
3 sons several hours later, 7-year-old Clayton, 4-year-old Hunter, and 3-year-old Chase. Doerman walked up to the little clinic at the advice of his mother.
He expressed to her, not to Laura, that he was having some confusing feelings.
He waits about 2 minutes and leaves. Once at home, he plays with his sons while his wife Laura makes lunch.
Oddly, the defendant says to Laura that this will be my last good meal. 3:30 to 3:45.
And we're going to go over the presser. So this is giving you a quick, but we'll go over it, and I'll even read the lyrics for you and everything that they don't do. I'm going to fill in the blanks, or the things you can't really hear, I'll fill it in for you.
He begins to read the Bible to Hunter. He's walking around the house with the Bible, mumbling, Chad knows what's right. Chad knows what's right. Shortly before he kills his kids, Doerman calls his father and makes the statement that Clayton is going to be the hardest one. And suddenly, after lying down, the defendant jumps up, grabs the 22 rifle from the safe, and terror fills the room.
Laura's initial concern, her husband is about to kill himself. Instead, he murders their 3 boys.
Did you shoot your son?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm pausing it here because when we get to the part where we get the jail calls, and they're really quick jail calls. It's like a minute and 20 seconds worth of a jail call. He's laughing and he's saying he remembers everything, and he's telling his mom this. So right here you see in the interrogation room the detective saying, "Did you shoot your son?" He says no. The detective says, "Who did?" And he says, "I don't remember." Now, he's trying to claim that he's crazy. The reason that I brought you to this video in the first place was him pleading guilty and not taking the death penalty. He knows that they had the videos. I mean, I'm sorry, there was audio from the jail calls and the jail visit. So we're going to get into that. But I do remember, yeah, he is absolutely a liar. He knew that was going to come on. And I want to thank Avis for the $20 cash app. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. This is all going to be debunked right here. I just cannot share the actual there's a little bit more footage, but it's on someone's Patreon and I can't share it. So I'm sharing this with you and I'm telling you the story and I'll give you the audio to it. All right, let's keep going. I just want you to see what a liar he is. And he really just wanted to take out his family and he wanted to punish his wife. And she knew, she had a gut feeling that she should have got out. She didn't. And this is what happened.
You did. Oh, we're good, buddy.
12 days later, after denying he shot the boys, Doerman seemed to find the publicity humorous in a recorded jail call with his brother.
Hey, they thought Hitler was big, dude. Yeah, I'm matching him.
Did you hear that? He laughed with his brother. We're going to hear that full call. It's not very long, but he laughs with his brother. And I just left it on the screen where Doerman tells his brother, hey, they thought Hitler was big. And then he says, fuck yeah, I'm matching him. So he's sitting there laughing about murdering. And I'm sorry, this is probably not going to be monetized anyway. And it's hard not to just say that he murdered, he executed those little boys. He's an evil monster. And then he laughs about it. So we do hear those jail calls. And I thought it was important so that nobody thinks that, you know, he just had this mental health breakdown. Not to say that he don't have mental health problems when you do something like this, but I wanted you to hear the full story from me in, you know, wrapping up this case. It's just absolutely infuriating. I mean, even Chris Watts, I've never heard him, I've heard him blame other people, but I've never heard him so blatantly disrespect his children or his wife. I've seen a tiny bit of remorse more for himself. Yeah, he thinks he's a celebrity. He's just absolutely, I can't believe he got a deal, but you got to think nobody wants to see those children's, you know, they don't want to see, if he's on a level 5, nobody wants to see those children's autopsies and have to go through that. So yeah, when you hear the terror in the mom's voice, you'll understand why she doesn't want to go through this again. All right, we're almost done with this and then we're going to get to the next one and then the background check.
Diagnosed, treated, or prescribed any medication for mental illness. Prosecutors say Doerman made various statements to law enforcement that he knew what he was doing and did not appear to be in the throes of a delusion. Reporting live tonight, Karen Johnson, WLWT News 5.
All right, so I have another one I want to show you, and his dad talks, and I just found these last night. And thank you, Bree, for helping me. Thank you, Melly, for sending me the presser. Thank you, Carrie, for sending me timestamps. Thank you, Carly, for sending me other information that I couldn't have got. So, yeah, thank you guys, all of you. The whole team is
48 hours.
This is why we're able to do what we do, is because I have a whole team here. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to put it together so fast. I hate that he got a deal, but I'm happy that the family didn't have to suffer and go through a whole trial. Right. And thank you, Petty Mason and Wolfpack and JoJo, all of you. I love you all. I could not do this without you the way that I do. So thank you. All right, let's listen to this. This is Chad's father talking about him being, you know, Chad choking him out, but he didn't know he was that dangerous. And this is just a quick clip I'll play at 1.25 because we have a big show today.
Hours after a father confesses to murdering his 3 sons, we are hearing from Chad Doerman's father tonight. A judge set Chad Doerman's bond at $20 million, which is the highest bond ever set by prosecutors. Chad's father, Keith, spoke to me on the phone tonight, who says he is angry at his son, but at the same time is defending his son's character and feels something bad happened to him.
They won't let you talk to your son?
Keith Doerman, now living in Florida, said he came back to Ohio Thursday night after he found out what happened that day on Laurel Lindale Road in Monroe Township, but said he's not allowed to talk to his son. Chad Doerman confessed to shooting and killing his 3 sons execution style. Chad's father tells us this is completely out of character for Chad, saying his son isn't violent. I don't know what went on in his personal life. It's a shocker to us. We didn't see it coming. He just snapped. I could tell in his eyes he's hollow inside. That wasn't Chad standing at the arraignment. I mean, that was not him. Contrary to what the elder Doerman said, this is what Assistant Clermont County Prosecutor David Gass said in court Friday.
We know that one of the boys was able to flee into a field near the home. And again, we know from his admission, father hunted that boy down, drug him back to the property, and executed him in front of witnesses.
On Friday, we found out prosecutors charged Chad Doerman with domestic violence in 2010 for allegedly choking his father, but authorities dropped the charge. Keith Doerman told me he can't figure out why his son would have done it.
Okay, so we do know that's a 2010 now, and I'm going to pull up that record after and show you. That was the domestic violence that he had on his record, and it was from 2010. He has a ton of speeding tickets. And there were signs from his wife that he was giving off, just acting like he was going to do something with his gun. But then he would say, "Oh, I'm just kidding." He was also a very violent man with his words, verbally abusive, but nothing to show signs that he would do something as heinous as he did by hunting these kids down. And I mean, one of them got away and he drug him back, and then he put all 3 of them and lined them up so that when the mom found him and everybody else, that's where they were. So you're going to see, yeah, he choked his dad. That's the domestic violence I'm going to pull up next. He absolutely choked his own dad, Chad Doerman. Keith Doerman was just talking about that, and he says he is shocked by what his son did. The only thing he's ever done was the domestic violence where he choked him.
On this. A lot of stuff out there that could make you flip, and I don't think there's enough research on that, alluding to the possibility his son Chad could be suffering from mental illness, but also said, I don't know if it was financial. I don't know if it was marital. I don't know if it's work-related. I don't know. Keith defended his son, saying he was a good kid and a good father, but said, I don't want nobody to badmouth him because this is a terrible thing he did, and I'm angry at him for it, but there's something deeper inside. That's all it is.
All right, that is
after
all
a Clermont
it is
County father admitted to
when someone takes all of your grandchildren away from you. That's all it is, huh? All right, well, if you can defend your son like that, then I guess we know who's going to be sending him money on his books, right? We talked about that yesterday, and I think this is the one right here. Let me double check. So now we talked about this yesterday and doing a background check, and I wanted you all to know and see it. So thank you again, Bree, for sending that over. Melly, those boys loved him until he took their lives. He absolutely did. He spent time with them up until those days. He took them fishing. He played baseball with them. I just cannot understand what happened. I don't think anybody can. And I cannot understand, other than him just being evil, how he can laugh about it with his brother. We're gonna do all that before we do the press conference, because in the press conference you can't hear that stuff really well, and here you can hear it with what I have. What's up, Wednesday, Ophelia? How you doing, girl? And Adam and Krista and everybody else. All right, so check out his record there. He's got a criminal record, and I was curious about that. I was curious about this domestic violence on July 22nd, 2010. Now we know that was him choking his dad. So he actually didn't have a lot on his record. I mean, you go back to 2009, and he's got a criminal damaging one, which I don't know exactly what that means. Dismissal. Oh, it says traffic. So a criminal traffic. Maybe he was road raging. I don't know. But it's a criminal traffic. Maybe someone could tell me in chat what that means. And then he's got a speeding ticket in 2009. No big deal. Another traffic ticket going 55 on a highway. He got a seatbelt ticket 2009. The one that stood out the most was the domestic violence. Now, underage in 2010, underage consumption and possession. So it looks like in 2010, he's 33 years old. So in 2010, that would have been 14 years ago. That's interesting. So he wasn't even 21 yet. Underage consumption and possession. Seems like he may have been doing drugs for quite some time, drinking alcohol and doing drugs, folks. So that's what I'm getting out of it. He was probably on drugs and he choked his dad. After that, he got 2011 stopping after accident to exchange info. Another traffic thing. 2012 signal light, assured clearance. Another traffic speeding ticket. Operating without reasonable control. Guilty, no contest. Nothing really big, folks. Traffic ticket. And then you hop to 2022, another traffic ticket. And then in 2023, 615, you get aggravated murder. And then you can see the court view here. State of Ohio versus Doerman. And hopefully you guys can see this and double check with you all here. All right. So you don't really need to see all that. I don't want any addresses or anything. Yeah, he does look much older than 33. So I am guessing. And hi, Paul. Everybody say hi to Paul. If you miss anyone, James, I love seeing you in here. James McLean. It's always nice to have guys in chat. Us women rule the chat most of the time. Rebecca, I tried listening to 911 by myself. I couldn't. I know I can with y'all, and I'm glad because Carly had me listening to it last night, and she said I'd be upset. I said, no, I'm not going to get upset. No, it upset me. So I had to shake it off before going to sleep. Hello, Sadie's mama. All right. Sounds like a dangerous, aggressive driver. He sounds like a dangerous, aggressive person, Sunshine. He sounds like he just always had it built up. Yeah, thank God for some of the fellas. The traffic tickets show road rage or reckless. Yeah, anger. And it seems like he was an alcoholic and doing drugs. I know he did drugs because they said he did. It just said that he had a drug possession, underage consumption and possession. So how do we know he was doing drugs? I didn't say he was doing them at the time of the murders. I said in the last part. Maybe you missed that. All right. So I hope everyone's having and stay safe. Yeah, you too. What's up, Mitzi? All right. So yeah, it said that. MM McClure to J Mods and fam. I love you. I love you too. I just answered your email back. Remember, I'm in San Jose, California. The worst prices out here. Thank you for your super chat. Thank you for gifting a membership, Rachel. Let's keep going. So now you see a background check, aggressive guy. I did. Thanks for clear. Yeah. It was an older possession, and he choked his dad. So I assume he was doing some kind of drugs, angry, or an angry drunk, something like that. We're making that up because they didn't say what kind of possession it was. And yay, JC, you're green again. We still want to arrest Jen Soto, absolutely. And hello, a crime to remember. All right, so his background check is, we talked about that yesterday. You see it, you see where we are. There weren't red flags or anything right here. The original charge of domestic violence, knowingly cause or attempt, they dismissed it. So, he choked his dad. His dad probably said, I don't want to press charges on my son, and, or whatever. They dropped it. So that's that. And then, he goes from that to first degree. There's the first degree underage consumption or possession, which I was talking about earlier. So when you have an underage consumption or possession, it's either alcohol or drugs. All right. So that's that. Not a lot to speak about, folks. But before we start getting into all the visuals and all the things, I'm going to have to share this with you. First, let me just share a 911 call, and then I'll share the hard ones. We'll start with the easy one really quick from the neighbors. Stella's a member for 1 month. I love it here, and we love you. You're part of the crime crew. We're like family here, and we do stuff for each other. All right. We are here for each other. Let me show you let's hear this 911 call. This was by one of the neighbors, and this was originally, or at least we're only going to listen to this, and then we're going to get into the hard stuff. So, trigger warning. this was the neighbor, and this is nothing like the mom's.
Shot. I think 2 children. Okay. All right. I need. What was I see?
There's a girl running down the street saying that her stepfather is killing everyone in her family.
And what did the female say to you?
And she says father is killing everybody in her house.
Now listen to this. This is why this is important to hear this, because she calls and she tells those people that her stepfather is killing everybody in the house. Thank you. I'm going to say Lyubov Lingshi. However you say that. Thanks for all you do, Jade. The $1.99 super chat. Thank you. And she goes back to help her family, folks. After she tells them, instead of getting out, she could have got out. She could have, even though she did, she could have been in just out of it and stayed away. She went back. What a girl! What a stand-up kid, man! What a great girl. She's gonna have a lot of therapy, but man.
I'm on the phone with them right now.
You say how or what was happening?
I asked her to get in the car with me, and she said she couldn't leave her family.
Oh my gosh. 32-year-old Chad Doerman admitted to the slayings and will be in court next week for his preliminary hearing. Prosecutors say that Doerman planned out the execution-style murders of his 3, 4, and 7-year-old sons for months.
This was the man that every day they woke up.
And we're only going to watch this for a second because this is the only other time you see him cry. And this is when reality hits. Possibly, this was really quickly after. This is possibly him not having alcohol anymore. His emotions coming out. Shortly after this, we're going to hear the calls. And this is not, he's not crying.
Looking to for protection, love.
And thank you, Stella.
Guidance in all things. Man, they trust more than any other person on earth. Person they rely upon to keep them safe from harm. He was their world.
Thank you, Stella, again.
He was their guardian, and he executed them in cold blood. We know that from his admission. By that same admission, Judge, he has committed one of the most monstrous, craven, cowardly acts that will ever be our misfortune to see. To make things even more disturbing, Judge, this was no haphazard act. Again, by his own admission, he planned the events of this day.
This is disgusting. Now, all 4.
All right. He did plan it for months. We're not going to play this video, but I am going to do this. All right, folks. Reese is going to be styling for 4th grade, and I've got much of her clothes, and some of the things just came in today. So thank you so much for helping out. Now, listen here. We're going to listen to some of this stuff. I've got it time-stamped. I'm going to play the before because it's so hard to listen to these 911 calls. I want you to listen to his, just quickly, they're real short, his interrogation for not even like a minute of it. And then his jail calls with his mom, which is a minute exactly. And then the brother jail call, just another minute and like 4 seconds. Very quick. And then the 911 calls are disturbing. So you're watching them with us or listening. There's nothing to watch. All right. Still can't imagine what GOS goes to one by. I can't either. I'm so cowardly is definitely a word. Pathetic bastard. You're absolutely right. Everyone's too personal for me because we all have children. This is very personal, and I have children too. But when you are covering true crime, that's what predicament you put yourself in, folks. And that I am in is covering true crime. So I'm going to start with the interrogation, the 4249. Just want you to hear it. I have it time-stamped, and then I can't really show it to you. There's nothing to show anyway, but I want you to I want to make sure you can hear it. 4249. By the way, that when they threw him on the ground, if you didn't know, he had like a sweat spot on his shirt. It looked like a sweat spot. It was actually his son's blood. They said Chase's blood in particular, folks. Chase is one of his children. Chase is the one that he, chased down, threw him over his shoulder and brought him over there. So he had that spot on him. And thank you, Sophie, for hitting that like button. I appreciate you. Yeah, 153 chatters and 80 likes if you like my content. You might not like the topic, but please. He has negative balls. He's not a human, folks. And when you listen to this, you'll know that he's not a human. Tell me if you could hear this. Throw a 1 if you could hear this. I want to make sure that I'm sharing this properly.
Hunter. 4. How old's Creighton? Clayton. Oh, I'm sorry. I was worried that I was saying that wrong. How old's Clayton? 7. How old's Chase? 3. And how old's Alexis? Is she 14? And this is heavy on you, and it's something that you couldn't sleep because you knew that day was coming and it was building. And that's why you couldn't work today.
So they're talking to him. They're trying to figure out about if it was premeditated, if he knew it was coming, if he knew it was going on. And what's up, the Bethadone Clinic featuring Bethadone. Hi. All right. So, and thank you for loving the show. Support our channel. Hit the like button. I can't show you this, but I just wanted you to hear it. It's real quick, and then we'll get to the calls, which are also quick.
You knew it had to be done, and you came home. Do you remember your wife trying to stop you from shooting your children? That's why you got to do her first.
All right, I can't play any more of that, but I'm going to play the calls now so you can hear them. Premeditated, absolutely premeditated. He left work with a plan. I love Bethadone too. An ASB 4112. I miss back to school shopping. Enjoy. Thank you so much. Oh, I love my daughter, and I have kids too. And if I can prevent anybody from something like this happening, or just us learning something about this, I'm going to do it. And that's why true crime it's the right thing for me. And it's probably one of the only things that I've ever done that is absolutely, I felt like it's the right thing for me to do. Like 110%. I've done a lot of things in my life, but this is something that I feel like is my calling. So, all right, here's the jail calls with the mother, and Chad continues to make statements about his actions, and he's saying the opposite of what we're hearing now. So these are really quick. Hopefully we get more jail calls. Let me put it right on the right spot. I don't want to get in trouble for sharing this with you, but I also don't feel like it's right to not share it with you. I feel like it'd be an injustice to not share it. All right. The mom starts out.
And she's suffering really bad.
No, I was going to call her.
You probably should not call her, Chad. I mean, your mother telling you this.
Oh, yeah. Should be right there.
You took away everything. And I know you don't remember it. And you know only what they tell you. But she remembers.
No, I remember everything.
He just said he remembers everything, and he's talking to his mom, folks. Trigger warning for everything. Everything's sensitive. When we get to the 911 calls, I will tell you, trigger warning, sweetie, thank you. And I just want to fill in the blanks for you so you know what's happening. Chad knows exactly what he did. Listen to this.
You?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Write down. I'm not talking about nothing. Because you said you didn't. I know you don't. You're lying.
No, I swear to God I do. Yeah. All the way to the point, and all the way to all the reasons why and everything.
Recording. All right, so that is that. And now I'm going to get to the brother's phone call. Again, you wouldn't be able to hear this anywhere else unless you paid for it, and we don't want that. I don't understand why you have to pay so much for all this stuff. It kind of sucks, but we do. And we want to share it with you as much as we can so you don't have to. All right, so 5139. Let me get to the next, the brother call. You guys, I want you to really understand the gravity of this demon, and then we'll listen to the 911 calls after that. 5139. I had to timestamp everything to make sure I don't get in trouble. All right, so here's the call with the brother. June 27, 2023, defendant's jail visit. Now it's a jail visit with his parents and his brother, and he's talking to his brother. Again, there's nothing to see. It's all audio. So, yeah, he's a piece of work. He's the devil to me. No remorse. If there was a devil that walked on earth, he would be it. When justice and Jay collide, here we are. This is your calling. I believe so. This is the only thing that I've ever felt like 100% that I should be doing. I've never felt that way. So, all right, I'm going to press play.
The psychiatrist wanted me to talk to him, and I wouldn't talk to him. And then the captain came and seen me and was all pissed off because I wouldn't talk to the psychiatrist. Well, you sure? No, because I already talked to her and she moved me down to a level 1. I was supposed to get clothes on. She said he's not a threat to himself. Moved me down to a level 1, told all the cops I was supposed to have clothes on. Well, guess what? I didn't get my clothes on. The next couple of days, they was like, you want to go talk to the psychiatrist? Fuck no. What was that going to do? I'm going to be sitting in this dress tomorrow. It ain't doing me no good. Why am I going to go talk to her? She looked at me and she goes, do you feel bad for what you did? No. And she's just like, okay. And then that was it. That was the end of the conversation. And then she looked at everybody and said, he's not a threat to himself. But if it's big and fresh, then, you know what I mean? He said, I'm in New Zealand. That's fucking awesome. Hey, they thought Hitler was big, dude. Fuck yeah. I'm matching him.
He laughed. All right, he laughed, folks. He laughed. Wow, what? Yeah, he's talking about Hitler, and he matched him. Nene says, good evening. I'm late. I hope I didn't miss much. Trigger warning. We just started, so you're not late. I shared your live out, Jay. Thank you. Thank you all. This is not an easy subject, and I don't enjoy it, but I have to tell these, I have to talk about these topics so it can help anybody that thinks something like this may happen. You understand that there are demons and devils and people that will do things like this. And he's laughing, disgusting laugh, absolutely a demon. And you know what he got out of this? He didn't get the death penalty, and you'll know why when you hear the 911 calls. I know you might have heard them on the press conference, but you didn't hear them like this. So when we listen to this next, I want you to put your headphones in and listen. You can hear everything if you want to hear it. If you want it, if you don't, then don't. Then take it off while I'm playing that. But yeah, he knew that he was recorded. He didn't even care. He tried to play the psycho card, but when he says he knew what he was doing, that kind of messed things up. Laughing, comparing himself to Hitler. All right, now he didn't get the death penalty, but he did get this. He did get count 1, aggravated murder of Clayton, guilty. Count 2, aggravated, well, I already said it, murder of Hunter, guilty. And these boys deserve for me to say the full story. So monetized or not. Count 3, aggravated murder of Chase, guilty. Count 18, felonious assault of Alexis, guilty. And count 20, felonious assault of Laura, his wife, guilty. Now, yesterday, we listened to the 21 charges that they read to him, and he seemed bored. You remember that? He seemed very bored. So, all right. You couldn't hear anything during the press conference. You actually could hear it during the press conference, but it was pretty bad. So this audio is really good. It's almost too good. So pay attention. If you can't listen to it, it's rough. So trigger warning right now. I'm going to play the 911 calls from the mom. I want to tell you on the first 911 call, this dispatcher makes me very upset. The first 911 dispatcher didn't send anyone. Now, when you listen to this call and you say, okay, dispatchers are meant to are meant to try to talk people down and kind of get them to stop yelling and to understand what's happening. But this guy didn't even send anyone after hearing this. Okay. So this is rough. Trigger warning. If you can't listen to it, you don't really need to tell me in chat. You don't need to tell me you can't listen to it. Just don't listen to it. Okay. Please. Hey Jay in chat, he's a walking talking demon. Wow, laughing. Yeah. Just don't listen, and then you can come back when we're done. But I don't really need to know. Please. All right, because it's rough enough for me. So let's listen to this together. First 911 call was June 15th on a Thursday at 4:16 p.m. This call is made by Laura, the mom, and nobody was sent. Those children could have gotten their lives spared had they sent the police, somebody to help. All right, trigger warning. This is rough.
My husband shot my baby! He shot my family! 1965 went down!
What? I can't tell what's happening, ma'am. I need you to calm down and tell me what's happening.
Help me, God, help me!
Ma'am.
He's hurt! He's hurt, God! He's hurt! My baby!
What is happening?
Chase, come on, run! Run!
Okay, the children are still alive. I'm just going to commentate a little bit for you because it's rough, it's brutal, but the kids are still alive. You can hear them in the background yelling and screaming. And again, we're here for you. If you can't listen to it, back away for the next 15 minutes and then you can come back. But I just wanted you to hear the whole thing and not have to pay for it to hear what was going on, and that this dispatcher truly messed up this.
Ma'am, what is happening?
Oh my God!
Now, I want you to know that we're leading up to this, to the press conference, which is going to explain everything to you. But the dispatcher failed them. They actually did not send anybody until the second 911 call or a call from somebody else. And I agree that the dispatcher should be held accountable. So content alert, trigger alert. They did not send anyone on this first call. When Carrie shared this with me, I said, oh, what a terrible guy. He's stupid, the things he is saying, but he didn't send anyone either. So just keep that in mind.
Hello? Hello? If anybody can hear me. Hello? Can anybody hear me?
This guy, just send somebody, man. What's wrong with you?
Hello?
I just don't understand.
Can you hear me?
Say a prayer for the mom. Yeah. Why would he not?
Ma'am, can you hear me? Ma'am, can you hear me?
Carly and I have listened to this several times, and the gasping, I believe, Carly, correct me if I'm wrong, is one of the children taking their last breaths. So again, trigger warning. But I feel like you need to hear this to understand the gravity of this entire thing, and not just a partial like they did on the press. So I really wanted you to be able to understand that they're devils, demons that walk on this planet.
Hello?
Colin!
Ma'am, can you hear me?
Just call somebody, man. What is wrong with you?
Oh my God! Somewhere is help!
All right, the call is disconnected, and if you're still here, just say a prayer for the mom, the sister, Laura, Alexis, not the daughter. Wednesday Affiliate says my true crime content has leveled up so much. I start out by listening to documentary recaps, hosts I'm familiar with cases. I am grateful for Jay and this community, and we're grateful for you. Thank you for being here. I cannot emphasize this enough that it's hard. We're going to listen to the second 911 call, and then we're going to get into the press conference. So don't forget to hit that like. I know this is not something you like, but it's important that we listen to this. I dialed 911 from the side emergency thing, and they were pulling into the parking literally minutes later. This is awful. A civil suit, and civil suit is not going to bring those children back. I do understand, Melly, but they could have had someone out there in minutes, and I don't understand how so many injustices that day. All right, so let's go to the second one. Second call was made 5 minutes later, and this is really graphic. So please, if you can't be in here, don't. All right, just don't. It's hard enough for us, so let's not make it harder by putting nasty comments or whatever in the chat. Just leave and come back. All right. All right, so 4:21 p.m., 5 minutes after the first call, Laura, the mom, makes a second 911 call. Now, this is when something happens. Every second counts. Yeah, no, it's not. This is worse than a nightmare, and she says that at the end of this. So let's listen to this together, and hopefully we never have to hear this again. All right?
That's Goslin.
Hey, Goslin Spring. Where's that at?
1965 Laurel Lindale.
So it's at the Laurel Firehouse.
It's just north of the Laurel Firehouse. Or
Just north of the Laurel Firehouse.
Just north, right at the
Okay.
intersection of
Give me that that address. Give me that address one more time.
1965 Laurel Lindale.
1965 Laurel Lindale. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Bye. 911, where's your emergency?
I called for help and they was dead! My children are dead! My kids!
Can you hear me?
My children are shot! My children are not breathing!
Okay, what is
No one's helping me!
How many people are shot?
I think 3! My 3 children!
3 children.
I want you to think about this, folks. This was 5 minutes later. If she would have said, if they would have sent somebody, they would have already been there. Because as we listened to this call, people start to show up. The guy actually, the cop, the first responder actually shows up. So yeah, this is distressing, M. Shaw. I get it. Hopefully this is the only time we have to hear it and we're listening to it together. But this is 5 minutes later. And as we listen to this call, they show up and you start to hear that. I'm just breaking it up a little because it's rough.
Yes!
Okay, what's your name?
My name's Laura, and I need help!
Lauren, I have help on the way, Lauren. Did you say Lauren?
Laura, I called and nobody came!
They're driving there. They're on their way. They're on their way. Okay, what's the shooter look like? Who is the shooter? What's his name?
Father! The father killed him!
Okay, what's his name?
Chad Doerman!
Take a deep breath with me.
I can't do it!
What's his name?
He killed my kids!
Are you with your children now?
I'm right here. They're all over the yard. I need help. Somebody can save them. They can't save my kids.
Ma'am,
They're staring at me.
I'm trying. Let me help you. Take a deep breath so that I can help you.
They're not breathing anymore.
Okay. Do you want to do CPR?
Okay, but I have 3 kids that are not breathing. I cannot do CPR on 3 kids.
Do you want to do CPR? Do you want to do CPR? I can help you.
You see somebody to get here and help me.
They're on their way. They're driving. We can help them while they're on the way.
They're dead. Nobody's helping me.
They're driving there, Laura. They're driving there.
They're right across the street, and they stared at me.
The police has to respond.
These are good.
The police has to respond in first. If you want to do CPR, I can give you instructions.
I don't even think they're breathing. They're not even on the pulse.
We can check.
Shot them in the head.
We can check, ma'am. We can check.
Now, just remember, folks, this 911 operator trying to calm her down. I don't think there's any way to calm anyone down. But if you're listening to this, let's just learn something out of this. If you're dating someone or married to someone and you think that there's a possibility of anything like this similar happening or any kind of anything, let's learn from this and make it stick in your brain. Get away. Do whatever you can to get away. Okay, I know a lot of people last night, a lot of people have tears, they're crying. Just please let this be a lesson. And if you don't want to hear it, we'll be done in a few minutes. We're going to play the press conference and that won't happen. We won't play this again. So I just want you to learn something from it. For those of you that date or you have a husband that's mentally, that you even think, please.
They're breathing and do CPR.
Okay, let's do it. Please hurry. I have 3 of them.
Okay, pick one and go from there. Okay.
What?
Pick the closest kid to you. Check their breathing. Let me know. We'll start CPR.
They're not breathing, ma'am. They have no pulses. My children are dead.
Okay,
where nobody is here to help me.
They're on their way. Where is the shooter now?
Yeah, she says pick one.
Standing here.
He's standing here. What's his name? What's
I
his
went
name?
to all my kids died.
Over there, you don't care.
I went to all of them. I want.
That's him, folks. He said you don't care. He's Chad Doerman's right there.
My baby.
I understand. Okay, I understand.
You don't understand. I have 3 fucking kids dead in front of me. You don't understand.
I understand that you need help, and I have help on the way. Okay, they're driving there, ma'am. They're getting there as quickly as they can. I'm trying to. Where is the shooter?
These children have died.
Where is the shooter? Is he still next to you?
House. I don't know.
What's his name?
His name is Chad Doerman.
Chad Doerman is the shooter. Okay.
Yes.
Do you know what kind of? Okay.
I don't know, but my babies are dead. My babies are dead. All 3 of my sweet innocent children are dead.
Okay. Is there anyone there that can help you do CPR on your children?
Can somebody help me do CPR? Please, someone come and help me.
I can help you give instructions.
I don't even know. I can't feel their pulses.
Okay.
They're not moving. They're not breathing. They are dead.
Do you feel any air? Do you feel any air coming out of their mouth or noses?
We're standing outside. None of them have air coming out. They have blood in their ears. They're a mess.
Okay.
I cannot believe my world is ending. These are my babies. They killed all of them. They killed all of my sweet children.
Laura, I can give you instructions to do CPR if you want to try to do it.
Okay, fine, but I don't think they're alive. What do I gotta do?
Okay, get next and feel and see if you feel any breathing.
I just want you to know, Rosie, you're not lost at all. We're almost done with the 911 calls, and then the press conference is going to fill in all the blanks for you. So I'd love for you to stay here with us. Hugs to all of us. These are the 911 calls for the 3 children that Chad took their life that day. We've got Chase. I don't want to say their names wrong for some reason I'm blanking out. So if you want to put their names down there, we've got their names, but right now I am I'm just blanking out. So if you're lost, we're gonna fill you in right now. We're almost done with this. Hang in there.
No.
Okay. Put your hand in the center of the chest right between the nipples.
Okay.
And then you're going to pump the chest hard and fast, at least twice per second, 2 inches
Right.
deep.
Hard and fast.
Okay, I have to call this out, folks. Did you hear that in the background? They just said, stand up. You remember the video I showed you yesterday when they got there and Chad Doerman was sitting there with the gun next to him smoking a cigarette? That's how long it took them to get there. So yes, rest in peace, beautiful Chase, Clayton, and Hunter. The police are already there. They already were there. They would have got there if the first dispatcher would have called it in. They would have been there before. Maybe they would have been able to catch something because you could hear them getting him now and arresting him. All right, we're almost done with this. We got a few more minutes, and then we're going to get into the press conference that will explain everything to you.
That's hard and fast, twice per second, 2 inches deep. You're going to do this.
I just hear bubbles.
What is it?
I just hear bubbles.
You hear bubbles? Okay. Keep pumping in their chest hard and fast, twice per second.
Sure. All my babies. They're dead.
Paramedics with you. They're going to try to help you. Okay, Laura?
They stared at me.
They're going to try to help you, okay?
29, we got 3 kids down.
Okay.
What do I do?
They're going to help you, Laura, okay? They're going to help you.
What the hell? Hurry up, people!
They're hurrying. Okay, they had to get the shooter down first, and they're going to help you.
Okay. I hate him. I hate this man.
Listen
He
what she
took my
says.
life from me. My life.
Laura, I am so sorry.
This is not going to be okay. Hurry up. Oh, my children are down and they're so little. They're so little. I should have got the hell out of here.
Did you hear that?
I should have got him out.
She said she should have got the hell out of there. We have 222 in chat, folks. I'm not even asking to hit that like. I just want to say a prayer for those beautiful angels and Alexis and Laura. That pain is never going to go away. So rest in peace to them. As I take a moment to pray for them, as 222 means it's an angel number. Thank you, LT, for the super sticker. This is so hard. We're almost done with this, and then you'll hear everything else. She knew that she should have gotten out of there, and it's not her fault. Never her fault. But like I said, if you ever have an inkling that you should be gone or get out, just get out. Let this be a lesson.
The 1965 Laurel Landing on the 33s are staging at the station till now. Shot them all. They're dead, aren't they? These children are dead.
Where's the guy? He's over there.
They're dead, aren't they? This isn't fair. This isn't fair. Hurry, 2 more medics to the
She wouldn't.
They're going to do everything they can to help
Come on, you saved their lives. Please tell me you can save my babies.
And that's the thing, is that she wouldn't know if there was, that she wouldn't know, but there were signs. And she said, I knew I should have got out. So never second guess yourself. And the reason we're listening to this is so that you can learn and pull from your memory bank if anything ever. I mean, he was taunting her before this, Melly. He was saying, he was going near the gun safe and saying he was going to do this. And I'm sure there's other times he had threatened with his gun. So I guess what I'm saying is, let this be a lesson. We're almost done with this, and then we'll do the press conference together. But there's nothing you can do now, but pulling from your memory bank later will always help when you think about something like this. So we never have to listen to it again, but just let's learn from it.
You're going to help them, Laura, okay?
Hey, I need a PD. Got it. Hey, give me a pediatric BBM.
Laura, I'll let you go talk to the officers, okay?
Okay, she's hanging up with them. We're finally done with this. All right, folks, now we're going to get to the press conference. Big hugs for everybody. Let's all hug each other virtually. And now we're going to listen to the press conference, which is way lighter than this. Now, they do play the calls, but you can barely hear them, and I'm just going to fast forward through those. They are doing an excellent job of telling this story. I didn't realize that I could have emailed the prosecutor and asked him for the PowerPoint, and they would have sent me the PowerPoint. I'm gonna pull this down. Stop sharing that. All right. So yeah, I didn't want you guys to have to. I know that we don't want to listen to this, but I know curiosity and wanting to know about the full case, you would have wanted to hear this when people were talking about it, or if you heard the press conference or you saw it. And I didn't want you all to have to sit there and, try to find it or pay for it or not hear it. So everybody, virtual hugs. Now we're going to hear what happened on June 23rd. We're going to hear the complete, we're going to fill in all the blanks, and that will be hopefully the end of what we hear from Chad for a while, unless there's jail calls, and then I'll get those for you, because listening to the devil talk when getting jail calls is part of true crime. Dee Dee, thank you so much. It's heartbreaking, and you're welcome for the compassion. Thank you all for being here with me today. I did listen to these last night only because I wanted to hear them before I shared them with you. And well, Carly, she was obviously needing someone to listen to them with her. So thank you. All right, let's listen to the blanks now. Everybody had questions yesterday. This is going to tell you exactly what happened. It's going to show you that it was premeditated. All of that. Everything that he did was calculated. It talks about him taking them on their family, going fishing and all the stuff that he did. And the signs, not of this, but the signs of abuse were there. So the whole family was Chad, Laura, Alexis, Clayton, Hunter, and Chase. And Chase was 3 years old. Hunter was 4. Clayton was 7. Yesterday, we weren't sure about Alexis. She was 14 when this happened. All right.
As you are all aware, in June of 2023, the Doerman family consisted of Laura Doerman, Chad Doerman, husband and wife, Alexis, who was 14 years old at the time. She is Laura's daughter, and then the 3 boys, Clayton, Hunter, and Chase.
some of the background, why we think it was important to give you this information is to try to put some context in terms of what was going on here before the murders. Alexis has always been an outstanding student, very dedicated to her studies. You may have heard her mention in court on Friday. She loves softball, and she's a fantastic softball player from what I've been told.
Now, I think the reason they're doing this, and I won't interrupt too much because I want you to hear this, but I have to interject a little bit. I think the reason that they did this is because of how fast this went. We kept hearing all these different things, and then all of a sudden, with this heinous of a crime, they let him take a plea deal. So they had to do a press conference and explain what happened and what went down. I know you gave us a trigger warning, but it was heartless too. I wasn't expecting that. I'm sorry, Brenda. I always try to give you a trigger warning, and you can just turn it off, walk away. If the devil comes knocking on your door, believe it, right? And if somebody tells you who they are, always believe them.
Was even on the All-Star team last year. Clayton, Hunter, and Chase are all happy, active little boys. They love baseball, monster trucks, fishing, go-karting, and on their property and hanging out with your family members. Chad Doerman worked full-time as a member of the Insulators Union while Laura stayed at home with the boys and homeschooled Clayton. The plan was, and they made this decision as a family, that Laura would homeschool the children. Prior to June of 2023, and I know this has been of some interest and some inquiry, what was going on with his family? Was, were there drugs involved? Were there prior incidents of violence? There were no reports, no prior reports, or any calls made to law enforcement for any event, any disturbance at the Doerman residence on Laurel Lindale Road. From the outside view, from the inside view, this was just a normal family that seemed very happy. We're going to talk about the days leading up to the murders. 5 days before, on June 10th, 2023. Just a normal day.
Happens.
Chad Doerman takes the three boys on an outing to a local dirt track to watch some races, and they had a boys' day together. Happy, content.
There you
go. With no indication of any trouble to come. He discussed with Laura that she and Alexis have a little shopping day together, a little girls' day, little boys' day, and that was done. And that evening, the defendant did not report any issues or problems with sleeping. Go ahead. On Sunday, June 11th.
Now, they're doing the days leading up to this because these are the same questions that all of us had. How could he do that? What did he do before that? Was he just drinking a whole bunch and went crazy? No, just a normal day, and he knew he was going to do it, and he did it. And just like Chris Watts, those boys loved him, like Chris Watts' daughter loved Chris Watts. You remember the daddy? My daddy is a hero. We love him through and through. They love their dad, just like these boys. Now, here's where they went fishing, June 11th. The defendant takes the boys fishing. There were no reports of abnormal behavior from the defendant. That's the fishing that you're talking about, and that's why I'm filling you all in. Thank you. I just want to make sure you guys understand what we're talking about here. So I got through that day real quick. I don't want to go too far past that, but June 13th was the next day of him going to work. Actually, I don't know if they did June 12th. So I don't want to miss that. All right, let's go here. The defendant goes to work as usual.
Monday,
and then it starts to get weird.
Defendant goes to work as usual Monday morning. His coworkers do not notice anything unusual or abnormal about his behavior or his words. He later, again, gave conflicting statements about whether he slept or whether he didn't sleep too good that evening, Monday, June 12th, 2023. Tuesday, June 13th, he goes to work again as usual Tuesday morning. After work, normal conduct, normal behavior. He had some problem with his vehicle's headlights, and he works on those headlights. Later, again, after the killings, the defendant gave conflicting statements about whether he slept Tuesday night, but eventually indicates and admitted that he didn't sleep too good that night either, maybe just a few hours. And you'll see why this is significant as we go through this. The day before the murders, Wednesday, June 14th, 2023. The defendant wakes his stepdaughter up before he leaves for work, which is a highly unusual thing to do. He typically left for work at 4 or 5 in the morning. He wakes her up and tells her and apologizes for whatever I have done to you and for anything I've ever done to hurt you. Again, unusual, but will become meaningful in context as we know how the events unfolded later. Go ahead.
Yep.
Again, he's at work. And these co-workers, bosses, were all interviewed extensively by law enforcement, by the members of the Clermont County Sheriff's Office, and they report nothing was observed unusual about Doerman on that day. Just normal work day, normal behavior. The night before, Chad Doerman murdered his children.
And I was going to tell you, this is the day before on a Wednesday. For some reason, he methodically picked that Thursday, June 15th. Nothing's off. This family, again, somebody that was into the community yesterday, that was close to the community, said the community is just probably never going to heal. And I believe that.
Children, June 14th, 2023. It was normal. He went as he did and coached his boys.
Good for you.
Actually, Coach Clayton. He coached third base that evening. The entire family went to the ball game. There were no indicators that anything this horrible was about to occur. Later, some folks did notice that perhaps while coaching third base, he seemed a little distracted, but nothing concrete, nothing you could latch onto to gauge in any fashion what was about to occur. Again, later to law enforcement, he gave multiple reports that he couldn't sleep at all the night before he killed his kids. The day of the murders, June 15th, 2023. The defendant gets up, goes to work, arrives at about 7 a.m. On his way to work, and we know this because we have his phone, and we got all his phone records and all his search history. On his way to work, he searches on YouTube for a song titled Happy in Hell. I'd never heard of that song before this, but I've unfortunately become acquainted with it and the lyrics. Go ahead.
Now, they're not going to read it, but I also want to, in comparison and contrast, somebody talked about, I'm doing Watts Wednesdays, and I do it for the learning value of the case and not having closure. But Chris Watts did something like that, very similar. They found a song on his, on his playlist that I can't remember if it was a Metallica song or something like that. They don't read that on here, but I'm just going to tell you real quick. Let me take a look at it because I can't really see it. So Happy in Hell lyrics. He says, between happy and hell, that's where I'm living now. I really want to love her, but I just don't think that I know how. Can't give her everything she needs. Can I give her everything I want? Will it be about what I do? Will it be about what I don't? Will it be about what is right? Forget about what's wrong. Will she love the man I am or the man that sings this damn song? But don't know if I'll ever know the truth. It might not ever show, but if I'll never tell the truth, then she'll never know. Am I her shining light or just her darkest day? I wonder if she'll leave. Hell, I wonder if she'll stay. Oh God, I'm so confused. It's a lie. Is it a lie or the truth? I'm in the crossroads. Tell me which one to choose. Is there a right or wrong? Is it getting hard to tell? I need to know the price, and sure, I'd buy or sale. God, I really love her, but should I ever tell? Guess I'll just live here between happy and hell. And the reason I'm even reading this, it is a weird song, Kristen Davis, is because it proves to me that he was thinking about her. And thank you, honey bun. Chris, look up the song Battery. This proves to me a bit, even though we've heard it, it proves that he did this because of her. She was planning on leaving him. He knew, I don't know for how long, I think for months, she knew that she needed to get out. He was an verbally abusive guy from what I hear. And I think the biggest thing was because of her is why he did this. Diane Downs, that's crazy. Took her kids' lives and shot them in the back seat, and she played Hungry Like a Wolf over and over again. And she did that for a man because the man she was dating didn't want kids. So yeah, creepy vibes, Melly. I've never even heard this song, but it definitely tells me that he did this because of her. Thank you, sweetie. Brooke a hire. Please do. There's 223 people in chat. This is a hard subject. Thank you. They're not going to read this, so I read it, so you know.
I'm not going to read them, but here they are.
Go past this.
Occasions. We know he's speaking with folks on the phone. He's sending messages. 9:42 a.m. And again, some of this is known from the Kroger's parking lot video and the interior video of Kroger. 9:42, he arrives at the Kroger parking lot. 9:44, he enters Kroger. He's in the aisle of the vitamins and supplements. He walks over to the little clinic. And the reason he went to the little clinic is because his mother suggested he go there. He expressed to her, not to Laura, that he was having some confusing feelings. We're going to tell you and emphasize the little clinic, as good as it is, cannot, as we understand it, it is not the right place to go for serious problems that you may feel you're having psychologically. Anyway, he walks to the little clinic at less than 2 minutes pass, and he leaves without speaking to anyone at the little clinic. So why he went there and why he immediately left after a minute and a half, we can't answer that. We don't know. And this is him. Is him walking in? I can't tell.
He arrives and we'll play.
Definitely.
This is 5 or 10 minutes. We're not going to play it. We can just zip through it.
Can you use the mouse fast forward?
But again, this will all be in the information we provide and release.
Now, he never says this, and they never say that. There's never really a reason why. They never give a reason. There's never any kind of that type of closure. But us, being the true crime people that we are and being our own detectives, we know that he did this to hurt her, the ultimate hurt. And he didn't take her life, I believe, in my opinion, because he knew that it would hurt her more if she lived and had to live with this.
That's him entering from the top. The same clothes he was wearing when he killed his sons a few hours later. We need to take out these images of other folks.
The like that guys.
It's him.
This guy.
Green shirt, blue jeans.
With a purpose. Walking with a purpose, folks.
It is noteworthy while we're going through this that despite the fact that his mother suggested he go to the little clinic, she never alerted Laura, never called 911 on his behalf, never called a crisis hotline, did nothing.
Did he only say confusing feelings? Did he
Let me run through this. I might take some questions afterwards. Thank you.
It's hard to get through this. It's really hard. Yeah. Yeah. His mom on that call tried to cover it up too. Tried to act like he didn't say that. I don't know. He doesn't even buy anything. He stands there, does that, wears the same clothes.
Do not.
Rough. There he goes to the little clinic.
This is the little clinic counter.
Yeah. He could have stopped. He knew what he wanted to do. He had a purpose and he did it. That's not checking in with the clinic. I think he did that so he can claim mental.
Do we know what he purchased that day? Nothing to our knowledge. Or what he asked at the counter?
Yep.
There's no one there.
Yeah, he stands there for a few minutes, doesn't talk to anybody, and then doesn't buy anything and then leaves.
So he leaves the counter. So he drives home. On the way home, he stops, buys a 16-ounce Bud Light.
It's Kroger.
Goes out to the shed behind the house. The family then arrives from running some errands. And the
So we don't know how much he drank, but I do want to say that from what I hear, he was an alcoholic. He drank on a daily basis. He does tell the officers that he's sober, but he was drinking. It was only a 16-ounce Bud Light, but we don't know how much he drank that day. We don't know any of that. So just know that it tells here that he went and stopped and bought a 16-ounce Bud Light. And then once at home, he goes out to the shed. As he's near the shed, his family arrive home from their errands, and the boys run to him to say hello. So we don't know how much he drank, but we know he was drinking that day, and I believe he drank every day.
boys happy to see their father, run to say hello to him. Just a normal afternoon or a normal morning. Other than he came home a little bit early that day. Plays with the boys while Laura makes lunch. While eating lunch, oddly, the defense says to Laura that this will be my last good meal. Having no information, no idea what Chad was contemplating, Laura begins to worry that this is a statement that he may be contemplating suicide.
That is weird, right? That's a weird statement to make. And this right here.
Shortly before he kills his kids, Doerman calls his father and makes a statement that Clayton is going to be the hardest one. And down below, these are is an excerpt from Doerman's phone records that show the telephone call that was made. Between around 1 p.m. and 3:30, the defendant spends the afternoon doing yard work, playing with the kids. Again, nothing out of the ordinary. Nothing to alert Laura that she needed to do something to protect the family. There's no information available to her. 3:30 to 3:45, he begins to read the Bible to Hunter.
So
he's walking around the house with the Bible, mumbling, "Chad knows what's right. Chad knows what's right."
Premeditated.
Shortly before 4 p.m., he gets into the gun safe, leaving it unlocked. Laura says, "You were scaring me." Again, highly unusual behavior. And Chad says, "I'm just playing around." Our position is he did this to, again, allay any fears or concerns that may build up in her about her safety, his safety, or the safety of the boys or Alexis. So he actively deceived her. 4 p.m., he's telling Clayton, Hunter, and Chase that he loves them and they did nothing wrong, and that they are the best boys ever.
That must be
Knowing he's about to
confusing.
kill them.
Can you go back up? Real quick?
Yeah.
Those poor boys were probably so confused, folks, and you gotta, again, just stop and say a prayer for them. Thank you all for being here. There's still 211 people in chat. Thank you for filling in the blanks with me and putting this to a close for a while. Hopefully we'll see what happens with this, but I mean, this is one of those cases that is very close to a family annihilator, and we're going to hear about it. It's going to be in the books, well, forever.
You good, David?
Yep.
Around 4 p.m. on that the day of the killing, the defendant and Laura and all three boys go into the master bedroom, playing, have lunch, a little tired, lie down, concerned that vaguely in the back of her mind he's going to do something to hurt himself. And suddenly, after lying down, the defendant jumps up, grabs the 22 rifle from the safe, and terror fills the room. As Laura is screaming, the boys are screaming. Laura is frightened that he's about to kill himself. They're all trying to encourage him, telling him that they love him and beg him not to kill himself.
Wow.
Laura takes the phone out to call 911 to get some help there for Chad, who she believes is about to kill himself. He grabs her phone, throws it across the room, and tells her it's too late. He's not going to kill himself. It is too late to save those boys.
Damn.
And then what I can only imagine, well, I can't imagine. Takes the rifle, points it at Hunter, and shoots him multiple times. Laura sees this. Alexis sees this. Clayton sees this. Chase sees this. Laura screams to the other children to run while she tries to render aid and eventually does call 911 after Hunter has been shot.
Yep.
Hunter was shot in the right arm, right torso, stomach area, and twice in the right side of his head. Twice in the right side of his head, we believe, with the final two shots to ensure that Hunter was dead.
Remember, when we hear the 911 calls, folks, you can hear Hunter and taking his last breaths. He's gasping for air. You can actually hear all that. Now, you may not have wanted to hear all that, but I didn't want there to be wonder about this case. They play a little bit of it here, which I'll fast forward because you can't hear it very well. But yeah, the call tore out many of our souls, but it's better to hear it and understand what's going on so you can, hopefully something like this ever happens or you think something like this is going to happen, just get out. All right, let's go.
All right, you're going to hear a couple 911 calls.
I'm going to fast
ask
forward.
you and your discretion and your sensibility for the privacy and dignity of the family to limit, as you see fit, what is disseminated to the public. Go ahead. Anyway, Hunter was removed from the house by Laura. She tried to save his life. When you hear Laura tell him to run, Clayton runs out the back door. The defendant gives chase to Clayton. Alexis runs after the defendant in an effort to save Clayton. The unspeakable
rifle.
bravery of that, I cannot comprehend. But that's
A
what this whole
rifle.
deal did. While she's running to try to save Clayton, she observes the defendant raise his rifle, fire several shots, striking Clayton from some 50 or 70 yards distance. Clayton's down, and the defendant walks up to him calmly and executes him with 2 bullets to the head.
It's tricky.
Go ahead. So after Alexis sees this, she knows that Chase is still running around crying. She hears him. She runs back into the house to grab Chase. She grabs him, flees the residence, and begins to run across the yard out towards the street.
Yeah, this is giving you the entire narrative because we've only had pieces before coming out. In the beginning, we had a piece here, a piece there, and 911 call here, and 911 call there. And Cheryl McDonald, absolutely, this was not because of drinking at all. It had nothing to do with that. It has to do with an evil man that had a plan and decided to do what he did. And I think a big motivator was him getting back at his wife and saying, "You're going to leave me? I'm going to take what you love most." Again, this is just in my opinion.
The intent to go to the firehouse, which is, in close proximity to protect him. This is a Ring doorbell from a neighboring residence. So go ahead and play that, please. please, oh, I'm sorry, that's fine. The please don't shoot me is Alexis, as Doerman is pointing the rifle to her head as she is holding Chase and is compelled to put him down. Alexis sees Chase.
Right.
He runs to the trash cans in the driveway and attempts to hide from the defendant, 3-year-old boy hiding from his father. Alexis runs to get help. At some point, the defendant points the gun at Chase's head and fires it, but
Man.
the magazine is empty, so it's just a click, as I said the other day in court.
It gets
At some
jammed.
point, he reloads. Laura, protecting Chase, is physically fighting with the defendant. As I said, and as you're aware, the defendant bit Laura. In a desperate attempt to save Chase, she places her thumb over the barrel of the rifle.
That's where she gets
Took
shot.
that projectile in an effort to save Chase.
I don't know why
but unfortunately, the defendant was not to be deterred. He prevailed in the struggle, had control of the weapon, and executed Chase in front of Laura.
Now, I want to say this again. I don't know if you just came in, Patty S., but the reason they did a plea deal was because the family didn't want to have to live through this again at trial and have Alexis, the daughter, have to testify, all the neighbors, the first responders, and then they would have to see the autopsies. They'd have to go through all of this. Instead, they're going to have him on maximum security. They're going to have him in maximum security or in prison, which in my opinion is probably worse than being on death row, which never happens. But they wanted to spare the family, and I can 100% get down with that. It was it was a surprise. They were supposed to go to trial, and the defense approached the district attorney, and they decided, they talked to the family, they did not want to live through that again, and I can understand. So he's not going to live a cushy life, in my opinion, with what he did. He's evil. Exactly.
Laura's, at some
Right.
point, we know returns to where Hunter is in the side yard where she brought him out of the house. And these photographs, it's the side yard where Doerman was sitting with the side steps, the side entrance of the house. Those steps where Doerman was sitting when the deputy sheriff arrived. She's, again, trying to resuscitate, give aid to Hunter. And the defendant walks out the field where he murdered Clayton, picks up his dead body of his 7-year-old son, and brings it back and lies it down next to Hunter. Then he brings Chase over, lies him down next to Hunter's body and Clayton's body, all while Laura is right there
I hope
trying
so.
to render aid.
And they're the children.
You're familiar with these aerials, that this is essentially the area where he laid the bodies. If you see the sidewalk and right here, that's the sidewalk leading up to the side entrance, and the steps were.
Now, you remember the body cam when the cops came around that bush? They were trying to find cover. I showed you that yesterday. They found cover behind this little teardrop trailer, and then they approached the house. Now, Chad Doerman, whatever his name is, methodically laid them out so the mom and everybody could see them. You can see people back here. There were neighbors out there. There were first responders. He just laid them out in a row after he did that. Evil, evil man.
The defendant was sitting when police arrived, and that's the area where he laid the bodies of Clayton and Chase.
Justice for the children.
5 minutes after the first 911 call made by Laura, and we don't know why it was disconnected. She makes a second call to 911. And again, I would ask you to exercise the same common decency and discretion when playing these. Thank you. Go ahead.
Hey guys, that's funny. Where's that at?
All right, we don't need to hear
And
that.
they were responding with lights and sirens at a very rapid speed, caring more about being dispatched to this horrible scene than their own safety. They get there, And they, oh, here you go. Let's watch this. Where's he at?
He's shooter standing there.
Get him right here.
That's what I was
Tell me your hands down. Stand up, walk towards us. Stand up now. Walk towards us. Stand up with your hands up. Stand up now. I know, but we can't go any first aid. He's not complying. Gotta find cover first. We ain't no good if we ain't safer. So. Hey. We need to come from this side where we can see him.
Now, this is where we're going to see him come around. We didn't see this version of it yet. Now, Adam, if he's in a level 5, they're not going to give him that cushy of a with the TV and all of that. And he won't get a prison job if he's in level 5. So we could probably look that up in that prison he's in. And I want to say thank you again, Scary Sherry. Thank you so much. I know this is a hard case and I'm glad we're doing it together, but you would be very surprised about what he gets if they keep him in that area, unless he tricks them and they let him off easier. I hope not.
We see him. We're going to approach from this side. We got cover. Right here. Cover 29 and 53 I got. Show us your fucking hands now. Stand up. Stand up. Stand up. Stand up now. Stand up. Stand the fuck up. Stand there.
Would be good. That would be good.
Get the EMS over here. Senator, I'm not trying to put you. Get your butt inside. Yeah, get your butt inside. We're on primary. Yeah, 63 with 21. Have EMS respond over here.
I hope so.
63, do you want to respond to the Laurel and Dale address? Or exactly you need them? We're right in the front yard. What are you doing, man? Yeah, remember? I ain't gonna hurt you. I ain't gonna hurt nobody. You got anything on you? No, I ain't got nothing, man. Fire, that's it. I ain't nothing. I'll make sure that dog goes down. I don't think about you. Just don't reach for him and try to grab him. What's going on, man? Stand up. I'm looking at you. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, you could see that spot on his back right there. That little, well, I probably went past it, but you saw that spot. That was from him throwing his son over his shoulder and the blood dripping. And yes, Avis, all of those spots when they black them out are the children. And I can't understand why nowadays, I don't know if it's because we have instantaneous access to social media and being able to see this, but why are so many parents taking their children's lives? I don't know.
My daughter, she ran her to the fire department. Sit down. It's my stepdaughter. Put him in that cage.
There it is.
A couple things. These deputy sheriffs, they face dangerous situations every day. And they went fearlessly into the face of this
already did
scene where they know people are being shot. And they are to be commended, as is all law enforcement, for the acts of bravery they display every day. And we thank you. This screen here As you recall, I earlier said that after the killings, defendant went over into the field and picked up Clayton. This is Clayton's body. He slung him over his shoulder and carried him back and laid him down in the side yard. And this is all confirmed with DNA evidence. So there's no question that it's Clayton's blood. First responders and deputies on emergency scenes do what they typically do. They render aid. Deputy Sparks carries Chase just a short distance before he realizes Chase has died and gently lays him down on the ground. They cover the boys up with sheets. I've been to a lot of crime scenes. I don't expect to see sheets this long.
There they are.
So Hunter is carried to the life squad. That's why he ended up there. Chase is carried through the yard, most of the yard by the deputy, and Clayton remained where the defendant placed him after killing him.
Which is right here. Tell them I did it. Take me to jail, he says.
Tell them I did it. Take me to jail. The defendant's driven in custody to the sheriff's office for an interview. It was a very lengthy interview process where the defendant initially acted like he had no idea that his children had been shot, playing a game. But we have some clips from that we would like you to see. Notably here, when asked the names and ages of his children, he gives Hunter's name first, Clayton's name second, although Clayton's the oldest, and Chase's name third. And as you already know, that's the order in which he killed them.
Now, you can't hear anything in this, but I played this for you earlier, and this is when the officer was asking him the kids' names, etc. And this is where he pretends not to know what happened. You can't hear it. The volume, they never play it. And this is why I played it for you earlier. No matter how loud you turn it up, you can't hear it. I showed that yesterday. Yeah, he does say that.
You know what it says. Hopefully the audio quality will be better when you get it. During the interview, the defendant did acknowledge that he had been having difficulty sleeping or working leading up to the murders because he knew what he was going to do.
Yep. Tiny.
As you can see, among these statements the defendant made to the detectives, Detective Mike Ross and Mike Green, that because Laura tried to stop him from murdering these boys, that he should have killed her first.
I wish.
Let's move on. As you know, the criminal justice process, he was charged initially through Clermont County Municipal Court, held on a, I believe, $20 million bond, and subsequently indicted by the Clermont County Grand Jury on the 21 counts, 9 counts of aggravated murder, 3 for each boy. Now, at this point, I'm going to ask Laura Barron Allen to handle this part of it. So
Now we're going to listen to the last portion together. I appreciate you all for being here. I know this is a rough case. Scary Sherry, you're right. He was playing stupid. He tried to act like he didn't know anything. I wanted to show you at the very beginning that he did, and he was full of crap. And I played the audio for you so you can hear it and you didn't miss a thing. Yeah, he was crying for himself, in my opinion. He tried to act like he didn't know what was going on. He tried to play the confusion role. We heard earlier in the calls him laughing, talking about being bigger than Hitler. And I'm surprised nowadays how prisons are, folks. If you know somebody that's in prison now or been in prison, it's very, very cushy, and I don't understand why they have those tablets and why they get so much commissary. I have no idea. But I do think that he pled guilty, not for himself, not to save the family from having to go over it, but because he knew he got caught. He knew that mental game that he was trying to play for his mental capacity, that they caught him. He knew they had the calls, and he did not want the death penalty. He's a coward.
We're going to talk about the not guilty by reason of insanity defense and the serious mental illness defense. And she can walk you through that. Thank you.
So in March of this year, the defendant filed a plea of not guilty by reason of insanity. In Ohio, in order to prevail on that kind of plea, it would be the defendant's burden to show or to prove that at the time of the offenses, he had a severe mental disease or defect, and that he did not know as a result of a severe mental disease or defect the wrongfulness of his actions.
Thank you.
The defense, subsequently to their expert rendering that opinion, also filed a motion under revised code section 2929.025, the serious mental illness statute, which is relatively new in the state of Ohio, just beginning in 2021. And under the serious mental illness statute, again, the defendant would have the burden of showing by preponderance of the evidence that he has been diagnosed with one of 4 mental diseases: schizophrenia, schizoaffective disorder, bipolar disorder, or delusional disorder. If an expert opines that he has in fact been diagnosed with one of those mental diseases, then he would also have to show that at the time he committed the offenses, that the condition with which he's been diagnosed significantly impaired his ability or capacity to exercise rational judgment in relation to, first, conforming his conduct with the requirements of law, or second, appreciating the nature, consequences, or wrongfulness of his conduct.
Yep.
One of the things that all of the experts considered here is that prior to June 15th of 2023, the defendant was never diagnosed, treated, or prescribed any medication for any mental health condition.
See?
The expert hired by defense counsel in this case was Dr. Robert Stenson. The court's expert as to the question of not guilty by reason of insanity, again commonly referred to as NGRI, was Dr. Emily Davis. So. And despite the defense's contention, the experts did not agree on whether or not the criteria of NGRI, that the defendant met the criteria for NGRI. Both doctors, both Dr. Davis and Dr. Stenson, indicated that it was likely at the time of the offenses the defendant did suffer from a mood disorder. Could have been depression, could have been anxiety, could have been anything or nothing. They really weren't sure. But where the two experts differed was that Dr. Davis opined that the defendant did not meet the criteria for NGRI because he did know the wrongfulness of his actions. Dr. Davis specifically opined that with all of the information considered and reviewed, it was her opinion that despite the defendant experienced some symptoms of severe mental disease, that it was her opinion that he continued to know the wrongfulness of his behaviors in the offenses charged. Although some collateral records suggest a delusional thought process that served as motivation, such as when the defendant claimed he believed he was in hell at the time, there are also behaviors demonstrated by the defendant and commentary that he makes around the time of the offenses, which indicated he continued to know the wrongfulness of his actions. And as you saw in the body-worn camera, those kind of comments would be, tell them I did it, take me to jail. Hey, officers, I'm not mad. I'm not on any drugs. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm not going to run. The dog won't bite you. All of those comments do show that he had an awareness, that he knew what was right and wrong at the time, and that he could conform his behavior to that. What's important to note is that neither Dr. Stenson nor Dr. Davis were able to diagnose the defendant during their NGRI evaluation with any specific mental health disease.
He did.
During all of the evaluations, the doctors all agreed that while the defendant was incarcerated, he exhibited no acute mental health symptoms and received no mental health treatment or medication. And again, as we noted, the various...
Remember, he never received any treatment from anyone ever other than walking into the clinic that day and acting like he was going to tell them that he needed mental help. He never took pills, versus somebody like Andrea Yates and I believe Andrea Yates, correct me if I'm wrong, is still in a mental hospital until this day, if that's the correct person. And I think that the district attorney did not want to have that chance of him going into a hospital. So I think this is a much harsher sentence. Let's hope and pray for that.
Statements that were made by the defendant both on scene, in his interview, and after the fact are not consistent with someone in the throes of a delusion.
Yep.
You're fine. You're fine. However, after rendering his opinion as to not guilty by reason of insanity, Dr. Stinson did submit an opinion as to whether or not the defendant suffered from a serious mental illness at the time he committed these offenses. What Dr. Stinson opined essentially was that the defendant was bipolar and that he was unable to appreciate, again, the wrongfulness of his actions or conform his behavior to law. However, as we reviewed Dr. Stinson's report, there was no explanation of how he came to that conclusion of the diagnosis of bipolar, especially since he provided, between the time of his NGRI opinion and his SMI opinion, there was no further testing of the defendant. There were no further interviews of the defendant. There was nothing done other than speaking with the defendant's parents and brother one more time for approximately a total of a half an hour. Additionally, there was nothing in his report that would indicate that his diagnosis of bipolar disorder conformed with the diagnostic criteria as required in the DSM-5, which is kind of the holy grail of psychiatry and psychology. Based on Dr. Stinson's report, the court appointed Dr. Carla Dreyer to conduct a second SMI evaluation of the defendant, and she had a completely different opinion from Dr. Stinson. In her opinion, she noted that it was her belief the defendant did not suffer from a serious mental illness at the time of the offense, which significantly impaired his capacity to exercise rational judgment in relation to his conduct with respect to either conforming his conduct to the requirements of law or appreciating the nature, consequences, or wrongfulness of his conduct. She went on to note that with regard to the statutory criteria, records suggest that the defendant has a history of controlling behaviors as well as poor frustration tolerance and chronic anger, likely related to his underlying personality structure.
And that's why it's so important to listen to this, because yesterday it was my opinion, my speculation of this. I hadn't watched this yet, but I knew from people that were talking that he had anger issues, he had control issues, he yelled at the kids a lot, him and his wife fought a lot. Yeah, bipolar is not anything that has to do with anything that would make somebody do that to their children. So it's good to hear this in the entirety of what happened. And I mean, there's no signs that somebody would do something like this. However, him lining the children up to display them in the yard shows that he knew exactly what he was doing. And after hearing the jail tapes, this guy is sick and evil and wasn't mental. He absolutely is bragging about it. Unbelievable.
The available information indicates that the defendant took multiple steps to kill his children, shooting his wife and threatening his stepdaughter in the process. Dr. Dreyer's opinion continued, stating he made statements to indicate that he knew he was killing them. Mr. Doerman's careful execution of the murders, coupled with statements he made to law enforcement after they arrived on scene, indicated that he appreciated the nature of what he did, as well as the wrongfulness and consequences of such. You have all now heard the 911 calls, and you have seen the body-worn camera, and you have seen at least portions, if not all, of the defendant's interview. During the 911 calls, during the body-worn cameras, he is not making the same claims that he only begins to make during his interview when questioned by detectives. You never hear him say, "We're in hell. I have to get to heaven. I have to get you to heaven. I see flames. The devil made me do it." He made no statements that would indicate in any way, shape, or form during his slaughter of his children that would show or indicate that he truly was in the throes of a delusion. This was something that we believe he concocted during the course of his interview. Again, the defendant made a variety of statements to law enforcement, which would indicate that he knew what he was doing at the time and that were not consistent with someone who was in the throes of a delusion. If you're in the throes of a delusion and you think, hey, I have to save my boys, I'm doing a good thing by sending them to heaven and helping them escape from hell, you would say that. But instead, during the course of the interview, multiple times, the defendant denies being the shooter. Those kind of statements were made multiple times during the course of the
Oh,
interview, whether
wow.
he specifically denied it or started to claim that he didn't remember, or maybe he wasn't there, maybe he was at work.
Now, this was earlier. The audio I played of him telling the police that he doesn't remember any of it. And then right after, I played the audio of him saying, I knew exactly what happened. I could even tell you what happened leading up to it. And his mom tried to kind of hush him and say, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. So I think those are the jail calls that we'll end up hearing are from his brother, from his mom, and those family that are going to support him, although I don't know how. And support with Stefa. Do you have a channel? It sounds like you have a channel. Let me know in chat. All right, let's continue. We're almost done with this. This was a harsh one for me today, so I'm gonna have to go shake this off afterwards. All of us do.
Or something along those lines. But again, why would you deny doing an act unless you knew it was wrong? At times, again, the defendant claimed not to remember anything about what had happened that day.
No.
But then there were other times, specifically to his family,
No, it's
his
just
mother,
all
his
stretched
father,
out.
his brother, where he would make specific statements. Oh no, I remember everything, including why I did that.
Yep.
So there in the interview, he's saying, what happened? I don't know what happened. You tell me, detective. You tell me what happened because I don't know. That's very different than what he says to his mother in a recorded jail call. 10 days later.
There you go. Smudge away. Shake it off. Okay. Delphi. Okay. Thank you.
So I know that was hard to hear, but in the interview on June 15th, the date he committed these atrocious acts, the defendant's acting like he has no idea what's going on. Just 10 days later, he's talking to his mom, who is, now mind you, they've all met with their attorneys. They've started the discussions of the NGRI defense. They've started discussions about mental health and how that can help him. So to his mom, who's saying, no, you don't remember, he's saying, yeah, I do. I absolutely do. I remember everything, including why I did it.
Even though we don't know why. He didn't ever say.
And again, we have reviewed numerous jail calls that the defendant made while incarcerated, and there were multiple times where he made statements that were inconsistent with the statements he made to doctors or on his own behalf in an attempt to mitigate his actions on June 15th. Some of those are, again, calls with his parents and brother.
Now, keep in mind, it doesn't matter what side you are on the Delphi case. I'm not going to get into Delphi because right now we're talking about 3 little boys that were brutally murdered by their father. But Delphi, it gives you a look into things when we're listening to this guy's calls and we're taking seriously what he's saying. He's saying, I know exactly what I did and I know why. And then you listen to Richard Allen saying, them telling you that he said over 60 times confessing to the murders of Abby and Libby. You got to take some of that with a grain of salt and why he said it. Okay. So, I mean, in my opinion, I think they have the right guy. Again, I don't want to get into that. If you guys want to talk about it nicely, you can, but you gotta take what they're saying. You gotta kind of listen to what they're saying in their jail calls. It means a lot. It means a lot what they say in their jail calls. And yeah, you're going to be under distress when you're in jail or prison or whatever, but you're not in that much distress when you're sitting there talking about Hitler. I'm bigger than Hitler and laughing about doing what he did. So you could kind of hear the jail calls. That's why I played them before, because even no matter how loud I turn it up, that's what I played you earlier. The defendant's jail call with his brother, telling his brother it doesn't do any good if he tells them, if he goes in. This, what he said was, it doesn't matter if he goes and tells them about his mental health or gets it recorded. He still wants his clothes. They took all of his clothes. He's sitting there naked, essentially. And Sherry, that's just a theory. But yes, his wife was probably going to leave him, or she mentioned it because he was really controlling and narcissistic and he yelled a lot. And I think that's what pushed him to ultimately do that. So, yeah.
So, so then I know that was a little difficult to hear, but in that call, he's talking about 2 days after these events, he's talking about meeting with a psychiatrist, and he's talking about not wanting to meet with her because it's not going to get him anything. So he already knows that he can benefit, depending on what he says, to doctors.
Thank you.
And you heard in that the doctor at the time is trying to determine whether or not he's a threat to himself, whether or not he needs to be at a specific level of supervision at the jail. And one of the things she asked him is, do you feel bad for what you've done? And his response is no. And the next call, please.
That's fine.
So again, in case anyone had any question about whether he knows what he's done is wrong, in this jail call with his brother, again, 2 days after he has just slaughtered his children, he is comparing himself to Hitler.
He's saying he's bigger than Hitler. And I wanted to tell you, Deborah Rockhill, I come on every day around 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. If you're in Central Time, it's 6 p.m. So it's always around 4 o'clock. I'm pretty consistent. And yes, president. We need a good president, folks. That's a whole other story. But yeah, he has on a turtle suit and he doesn't think it's going to do him any good. So all he cares about is Chad. That's all he's ever cared about is Chad, in my opinion. I don't know him. Don't know what he did in high school. But Paul, we see some of the things that he did when he was still a teenager in 2010.
And how Hitler made news across the world, and so has he. Sorry, 12 days after these incidents. So within 2 weeks, he's comparing himself to Hitler and saying he's as big as Hitler. He is internationally known. Look at me.
Thank you, Laura. Okay. All right, so we come to the plea. As you know, in the brief remarks I made Friday, the defense came to us on Tuesday morning, offered us life without parole. We brought in Laura Doerman.
Yep.
And we talked her through this. Wanted to find out what she wanted to do. And again, as I said Friday, this decision was made to prevent further harm to the family.
Midnight.
And we know what life without parole means. That means he's never getting out of prison.
Times 3.
So the sentencing was 3 consecutive life without parole. Count 1 for Clayton, count 2 for Hunter, count 3 for Chase, count 18 for Laura for having their rifle pointed at her head. Count 18 for Alexis for having the rifle pointed at her head, and count 20 for Laura for being, among other things, shot
in the foot.
We discussed this at press conference with Laura. I can tell you,
yeah,
she is grievously injured. So is Alexis, and they have our sorry, and they will always have whatever aid we can bring to them.
205.
But this is a message from Laura to the community. No one who knew the defendant could have imagined the person they knew before June 15th, 2023, committing these acts.
Oh, man.
Family. The boys are happy.
Thank you.
But she wants everyone to be aware and spread this among your family, friends, loved ones. If you are struggling with thoughts of self-harm or thoughts of harming others, or if you know of anyone who is, please reach out. You will not.
And we're almost at the end of this, so y'all don't forget, hit that like button. If you're in the rewatch crew, please just make sure when you're done watching this, you shake it off, say a prayer. It's a harsh thing to listen to and watch, but you don't have to do it again. You listen to it, you know the whole story, and you just take this as a lesson for anybody you know. If a friend comes to you and says somebody's, where their boyfriend, their girlfriend, or somebody's threatening, they're threatening to take their own lives. Sometimes when people threaten to take their own lives, it really means that they're just willing to hurt somebody. So remember that. Remember that and keep that in your mind. All we can do is pray and remember the children. Thank you, Mitzi, for that and the 199 super chat. We're almost done, but just remember, have a takeaway from this, please.
Be judged. Help is available. Call a crisis hotline or call 988 or go to your nearest hospital. Violence is never the solution. Thank you.
All right.
Why did you hold this press conference?
To give you additional information on what was going on here, more than we could relate in a few minutes on the courthouse steps.
Agreed.
Does it have anything to do with trying to let the public have a better understanding of why you struck this plea deal with this defendant?
No, I explained that, I think, sufficiently on Friday. Is to let the public know what was going on behind the scenes here and to emphasize
you all do
the great sorrow we have for this family and how this was something out of the blue. This was lightning from a blue sky. Go ahead. I'll take a couple questions.
Do we still know why Chet did this?
No idea. Don't know why. That will probably never be answered. You look at this nice little family, sweet little family. I can't speculate as to why it happened. Can't do it.
And they were getting. You're saying they were a happy family. At least everybody thought. Laura had no, in hindsight.
I'm not going to speak for Laura other than what I know is that they were a happy family.
Yeah,
they never put a word in her mouth.
Exactly.
Do we know anything specifically about maybe what he told his mother before he went to the little clinic? I know he expressed maybe he was having confusion. Was there any specifics about what he said?
I don't recall, but it'll be in the materials. All right. Thank you all very much. I appreciate it.
All right, folks, we got through it. We got through it together. Whoever was saying that they're going to go watch some yard channels or glass collector channels, go do that. Shake it off, especially if it's 2:00 in the morning for you or midnight or whatever, 9:00 at night. Go watch something that's nice and go watch something and get it off, shake it off. Thanks for the safe place to come see the horrible crime. Heartbreaking. You've watched it, you've heard it, you know it happened here, you've heard everything, and I don't think you need to hear it again. So on that note, I love each and every single one of you. Don't forget to hit that like button on the way out. Let's get in the algorithm so we can cover cases like this and have a support and have people in here. Taylor Swift will shake it off. Yeah. We need a little bit of a laugh on the way out. So do we know if he supported any fascists or white supremacists? No, we don't know any. I don't think any of those things came into play here. 9 p.m. in Pennsylvania. I'm going to go hug my dog and shake it off. Thank you, Scary Sherry. Thank you for all being here so much. I will see you tomorrow. And I think it might be a little later today because I'm going to go get a haircut with my daughter for school. And that's what I'm going to think about right now as I go make something for dinner. So on that note, I love you all. Go watch something funny or do something to shake this off. Good night, everybody. Love you all.
Guilty of crime.
I want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed my content, please share this video, like, and subscribe. You can also follow me over at Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, or Gmail. If you'd like to donate to my channel, you can use Cash App or Venmo or PayPal. Thank you very much in advance. Guilty of crime.
Are you guilty?